but we were just not considered. But I tell you, Fox did say that when there's in 4 years now, it comes time around again, that Myrtle Beach will be one of the top on the list.
Really?
Sure. Yeah, they definitely want us to have another one here.
The litmus test works.
That's right. So
that is tremendous, Robert.
Set the bar really high, and I feel like that I have not tried to get out and do anything. My biggest challenge was to get it here.
Right.
And I think after it was done, as far as the things on the beach and the chamber and stuff, the convention center, the city of Myrtle Beach and the chamber did it, and the volunteers. And so it was just a great effort from the community.
There were tons of volunteers, lots of great sponsors. Obviously, a lot of folks wrapping around at the city of Myrtle Beach. The folks, time after time, wrapping around both events.
They did. Unbelievable.
Clearly, it's much like candidates, and as we're about to talk about, what are some of the things viewers should look for in candidates? In the same way, seeing both parties working together with a city body, with the county, obviously the Horry County Republican and the Horry County Democratic Party, to see everyone working together with national networks, CNN, Fox News Channel, to see the excitement for those folks, but even more exciting, the candidates themselves. To think about those folks staying in our hotels, being there. We filmed during that week up at the Grand Dunes, the Marina Inn there, leading up to the Conway Medical Center Gala, and John McCain was staying there that night on Thursday the 10th, and to see the excitement of his entourage and himself just wrapping around our own hotels, it's a big deal, kind of like where George Washington slept when you hear Rayford Green talking about the area. I mean, it's pretty exciting. What are some of the things that voters should look for in candidates, Robert, if they sit back and they're hearing lots of messages, whether on TV or seeing them in the newspapers or hearing them on the radio? What are some of the things that they should sit back and really help separate the issues there?
To me, the most important thing is a person's track record. Because typically, if a person has done something a certain way for a period of time, they'll continue to do it. And it's easy to get up and say, well, I've always done this, but I want to do it this way tomorrow or next week or next month. But if you go back and look, history usually repeats itself. Right. And if you watch persons, because we are all creatures by nature. Right. You know, we go to this grocery store every week. We go to that, drive this kind of automobile every week. So we get in the habit of doing things, and we're creatures by nature. So if you look at these candidates and what their track record says they'll do, and then look at their experience that they did, and then how they interact with other people, because you can be as smart and as good as you want to be, but if you can't get along with anybody, you can't do anything. You can't accomplish anything. Right. So you have to, their personality, their temperament is huge. If a person's got a really bad temper and they can't get along with anybody, they're not going to accomplish anything. Right. So to me, their track record, their history of what they've done, their experience of what they, and the different things they've done, the diversity of them, and then the temperament and how they interact with other people, I think is really big.
Very important. You know, we highlight there are clearly candidates who come out of nowhere, whether it's folks who run for the first time, John Edwards, running for U.S. Senate the first time, Mark Sanford, our now governor, who ran for Congress in his mid-30s with no experience. But for the most part, when you think about track record, oftentimes they start at a smaller position and then build up to running for a larger office, and you think that's important.
Well, you can look at civic organizations. If they've been involved in a civic organization, what they did, and then if they've worked on a planning and zoning commission or state housing or anything, the things they've done, and how they acted and reacted, and were they proactive? Did they work hard? Were they consistent? Did they attend like they're supposed to? You know, there's a number of things, but to me, their track record tells you more than anything else.
Right. Let's talk, one of the things that unfortunately a lot of folks focus on are negative campaigning and hearing a lot of issues. What are some of the things that are fair to get into, and what would be considered negative campaigning? What's borderline, Robert?
If it's all right, I'll use two candidates, for example.
Yeah, sure.
They're both high-profile candidates, and I don't think they would either one of mine. Okay, to me, like Luke Rankin, he is a senator. It's fair for him to look at Liz Gillen's record as chairman of the county council and her service on that, and show what she did. If he has to define himself, who he is and what his plans and what his vision for District 33 is, and he needs to look at what Liz has done. All right. By the same token, Liz should do that to him. Right. What he's done in the 16 years in the Senate, what he's accomplished, what he hasn't accomplished. And so, to me, defining the other candidate is most important. And then, ultimately, when I see how Greg Everett looks and how Robert Rabon looks, then the differences. Right. You know, how we, on taxes or immigration and stuff, how we differ, and let the people, give the people a fair chance. To me, that's fair. That is not in no way negative. You say, well, if you're saying something about the other candidate, and it's not. If you're defining their record, because their record is public knowledge, it's public information. Right. And unfortunately, the average person don't know all of what's going on. So, so if there's a track record from that, like I said before, their experience in the track record, and you can show that track record, it's fair game. It's not negative.
Right.
As long as it's truthful, make sure it's
would be
truthful.
I mean, so negative stuff would be going beyond that.
That's
going beyond the factual record.
Fabricating and doing innuendos and stuff. Because I had one candidate just yesterday, he said, I'm really good at arguing with people about things. I said, you don't get any votes like that. I said, to me, the people want somebody that's honest and truthful. And I said, whatever you do, when you say something about one of those opponents, if you intend to do that, make sure it's truthful, it's factual, and just don't fabricate. To me, that is just so wrong. When take things out of context and build something out of nothing. To me, that's wrong.
Area media had covered a candidate who was potentially thinking of Senate District 33, who had said he was pulling off because something was going on behind the scenes. I think it was push polling or something to that effect.
Well,
those things come up.
And but now he was not the one who did it. He did not do it. One of the organizations doesn't like the way this particular individual voted. And so what they were trying to do is it's called push polling. They get out and say negative things about it. Now, to me, that's just wrong. That's wrong. To me, I think each candidate should run on their own merits. If you won't vote for me because of who I am, that's okay. But that's fair. But I think you have a right to define the two candidates.
Absolutely, Robert. Let's think about how most candidates run their campaigns. If they're out of the gate for the first time, there's clearly stuff they've thought about. You know, can I afford to do this? Do I have the time? Can I do this to my family? I assume they've gone through those steps. So there's some basic steps they probably need to think about. But how do most candidates run their campaigns? Is there a common way that they go about doing it, or there's some guidance that you provide from the Horry County Republican Party?
Well, when somebody comes to me, calls me or whatever else, and I just kind of feel like it's my responsibility to tell them, if you're going to run for a county council seat, just a district county council, you're talking about anywhere from $40,000 to $75,000 to run that district. If you're going to run a House seat, state average is $100,000 for a House seat. State average for a state Senate race is $250,000. And it's a full-time job. From the time you file for those roughly 75 days, you've got to go from 5 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, wherever you can find a voter. And a lot of them use a political consultant. And those political consultants will help them devise a plan. Because, see, one of the things about it, we have as a Republican Party, they paid like $25 million from voter vault. If you become a candidate, you go into voter vault, and you can tell who voted in the 2006, 2004, 2002, and 2000 Republican primaries. You pull those out, and if a person voted 4 times, chances are they'll vote. If they voted 3 times, 75% of the time they'll vote. 50 times. And if they hadn't voted, even if they're a registered voter, but they have never voted in 4 primaries in a Republican primary, you don't need to waste your time on it. So you need somebody that's a political consultant to help you put the plan together. And there's the voter vault puts together a walking list for you, so you can go to house. It'll tell you where to stop and where to not stop. But the ones who voted, I mean, it's great. But those are the kind of things you have to do. You need a political consultant to help put it together.
Do all candidates seek out political consultants? Do you recommend that? Do they get do they get consultants from Columbia here locally? Do they go to Washington, D.C.?
Well, we have a couple here locally, and there's quite a few in Columbia. And most candidates, especially if they're running for a House seat or a Senate seat or a county council seat, and they don't really know what to do. And if you don't know, and you've got some stiff opposition, you want to be a player, you need to do that.
We've just got a couple of minutes, Robert. Let's think. You highlighted one district. You want to highlight a little bit about where candidates stand on issues such as taxes, jobs, immigration possibly. Just yesterday we had a fascinating couple in, a bilingual couple, and they highlighted that aspect there for their own church about clearly there is illegal immigration is an issue and working to make sure that immigrants actually get their U.S. citizenship.
Well, there's a lot of folks that don't have a job because things have slowed down, the economy's slowed down, and then when they see somebody who is, quote unquote, a legal alien here, as they refer to, and they're working, it's really hard for them to take. So I think immigration is always a hotly contested issue. And you need to know about if a person's like a county council, for example, how they feel on impact fees, because the impact fees, sometimes people get the opinion it's just going to be on people moving into areas. But if you got 10 acres of land, you cut your lots, they cut it 10 lots and give your 10 children, and all them 10 are going to build a house, they all have to pay the impact fee. Locals have to pay as well as the others. So, and so you need to understand that. You need to understand where everybody stands on each issue. And so there's a multitude of issues, and I recommend going to the candidate's website, going to political rallies if they have a block party, go and ask a lot of questions. If they send out media mailings to you, do it, go on their line, on a website if they have one, and just really educate yourself. because it's really important to look at what their track record is, their experience, and how they feel about things and how they interact and work with other people. It's huge.
That simple question about how can folks be more educated about candidates. It is, most candidates have websites, most candidates are available. Are they out public speaking? Is it, are there special ways to go about being more educated?
A lot of them
they call your office even.
They do.
Right.
And they go on our website, Horry County Republican Party website, and we try to post as many events as we can. Like we having a candidates night on May 5th at the Peanut Warehouse that night, and all the candidates from the 40-plus candidates will be there. Right. And the Congress and Senators, some of those will be there. We're going to have free food. We're going to have music. And it's ironic. I didn't realize until after I said it. It's the week before the Gallows Ferry Stump. So we have an ours on the 5th and theirs on the 12th. But that's great because you get to see both of them. And so, but it's really important to go to theirs and call and ask questions, email them, leave a message for them, and they will try to get back to you. And ones that have websites, they'll put the stands up on stuff. So you can actually go in and read for yourself and follow up with questions and things like that. But it's really important that you understand who they are and where they come from.
Robert, we've run out of time. I wanted to ask you what drives you, what keeps you focused as a chairman of the Horry County Republican Party. There are just a couple of words that really makes you want to get out there and help other candidates.
I have 4 children and 4 grandchildren, and I worry every day about what the world will be like for them tomorrow, and your children and everybody else's. That's the reason I do it.
That's a great word. Stay tuned to more Carolina people. The chairman of the Horry County Republican Party, Robert Rabon, coming up next. How often do we get guests on the show who don't even talk about themselves? Not one chance. Every chance we gave him to talk about himself, he's focused on candidates. He's focused on getting the word out. He's focused on his 4 children, his 4 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. We didn't even have the time to highlight him being broker in charge of Associated Realty, the company co-founded with Don Helms and Liston Barfield. We didn't have a chance to highlight his service on the Horry County Council. He didn't even slip in that he's on the board of trustees there at Coastal Carolina University because his focus is on candidates and getting the word out, whether Democrats or his own party, Republicans. Right here, the opportunity is to get the word out, to support them, to be behind them, and to focus on his children and his grandchildren, and getting the word out and educating the public. HorryCountyRepublicanParty.com, HorryCountyRepublicanParty.com. A lot of great information there. Robert Rabon, doing it every day. Thanks so much for being with us, Robert. Absolutely.